welcome back. So we've got Richard again at the camera.
Hello.
So we're back down in Hampshire with a good friend of ours, and we are today looking initially, we've got a few cars to look at today, but we're looking at the Focus RS 500. So I appreciate now some people might be thinking this is an older car. This was launched in 2010. However, they only released 500 and only 101 actually came over here to the UK, and I think to date there's roughly only about 33 registered. So that means they're going up a lot in value. So this originally retailed for about 34,000. Well, now they're auctioning for over £70,000. So they're a real kind of collector's, true driver's car. So of course the RS is a great car anyway. For the 500, what they've done with that is increase kind of the airflow to the engine, tweak the ECU to give it more power. So we've got 345 brake horsepower with this car. The paint job with the 500 is actually black underneath, and then they put this on top of the original paint job for the 500, so this matte black vinyl as such. But yeah, proper true driver's car. So in a moment we're going to have a little spin of it, aren't we, in the area?
We are.
And kind of see, yeah, really what why I suppose it's gone up in value so much, why people are collecting these cars, and what makes them so good. We'll see you on the road.
Yeah.
Hi everyone, so we're now inside the Focus RS 500. We've got Richard again at the camera. How's it feel from the passenger side, Rich?
A bit bumpy, to be fair.
So of course this is a 2010 car, so it would be unfair to compare it to some of the modern hot hatches, you know, with active suspension and so on. One thing I've got to say though is I think, yeah, it is bumpy, but you know what? I don't think it's that bad for an older car. I think it's actually quite a smooth ride for this type of car in this era, and it feels ever so direct on the nose, really sharp. You know, you notice you're in a fun car, let's say. Obviously, I'm sure it's a shock to nobody, it is a quick car, for sure, but it's got very sharp turning. And then as you do pick the power up, you do feel a bit of torque steer, I have to say, through the front, because it's front wheel drive. I believe obviously the modern Focus RS is a four-wheel drive, which I think makes sense, because once you're getting into, you know, 300 plus territory, it's easy for it to pull with the way the diff works, isn't it, Rich?
Yeah, I think 300 horsepower is probably the limit really for front wheel drive, to be honest. I mean, they've done a good job with this, with the way that they've put the trick diff on it.
Yeah.
You can feel that working and tugging at the front wheels. I know with the Mark 1 RS, Focus RS, which Colin McRae did some of the development driving on, that was an animal, and that used to jump all over the road. It was good fun, but it was hard work. So this is a bit more refined than that. Then, like you say, with the Mark 3, they've then gone to four-wheel drive, which is where they needed to be with it, really.
Absolutely, yeah. But it's got a lovely gearbox, you know, really nice change, really nice sharp clutch. I always like quite a heavy clutch, so it feels a little bit light to me, but I suppose you've got to cater for everybody, and if you're using it as an everyday car, of course it could be hassle if it's a heavy clutch. For me, the only kind of big thing that I'm not so keen on about it at the moment is seating position.
You're sat high, aren't you? There?
Yeah, you know, being pro drivers as we are, and racing drivers, ideally you always want to sit as low as you possibly can. Of course you need to be able to still see, but you want to have plenty of feel and feedback and really be in the car. I feel at the moment a bit perched on top of the car, so this has got a bucket seat that's fixed. Now perhaps you are able to adjust that to be fair, okay, with a set of spanners, not right now, to get lower, but I would like to be much lower in the car so I can feel even more what's going on through the chassis, and then also for the wheels to feel like it's a little bit higher, so I feel more in that kind of racy position really. But that's the only thing that jumps out as something that I'm not so keen on. I think it's a very fast car, it handles very well, it's got a good gearbox, it sounds good.
Yeah, it's a 5-cylinder, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It does sound nice.
Absolutely,
Like
yeah.
an Audi Quattro from the 80s.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I wish it was louder, but I'm always going to say that. I always wish things are louder and
It is quite muted, the engine, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're not dominated by the engine noise.
Yeah, not at all, to be honest.
More road noise than anything.
Yeah, because you've got that firm ride, there is quite a bit of road noise. And yeah, I would say, for me, a more engine note would be, my preference, let's say. But overall, it's a cracking car. I know it's an older car, but it's becoming a collectible. You can see why. I think it really shows kind of why a lot of people want them. And it's nice to go back to something without all these trick kind of buttons and modes and active suspension. A bit more
this
pure.
Is how it is.
Yeah,
That's it.
Absolutely. But yeah, if I could tweak anything, for me, it would have to be 4-wheel drive, which I suppose is a bit more than a tweak, but changing seat position. And I feel like the brakes are a little bit heavily servoed, so it just means when I touch brakes, very, very sharp. But sometimes sharp doesn't necessarily mean it's going to stop any better. It just gives you less feel in the brake pedal as such. So yeah, that for me. But again, these can be personal preferences. But overall, it handles really well. It's got a very sharp front end. It's quick. Yeah, it's a cracking car, and I think it looks absolutely fabulous. But what about you, Rich? What do you think? How would you sum it up?
I mean, I think it's a car of its time. If you go back to XR3s and RS turbos and stuff like that, which were kind of the forebears of this thing.
Yeah.
It's more like that than anything. Where the Mark III was a bit more refined and a bit more sophisticated.
Yeah.
So for me, I think what makes this car special is the fact it's an RS 500.
Yeah.
So it's a rare thing. The actual drivetrain is hugely different to the standard RS.
Absolutely. I mean, they made the air intake bigger, they adjusted the ECU, mapping, but yeah, I think, the bores are a bit bigger, but fundamentally, really, it's the same engine, isn't it?
Yeah. So I don't think I'd want to change. I agree with what you say, it was sat a bit too high, and I'd want to turn the servo assistance down a little bit.
Yeah.
But for me, I think that the torque steer and the tugging of the front wheels is kind of part of the character.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we get a bit spoilt with modern cars, all these trick things that they can do, and there is something nice about taking some of that away.
But it's a mechanical
that
device that's doing that on this car, that's tugging the front wheels around.
Absolutely. So yeah, certainly for me, I can see the appeal of it. I think it looks absolutely fabulous. Would I pay, one went for auction for about 70,000, would I pay 70,000? Probably not, in all honesty, but I think well, I guess if I had enough money, then maybe. But
it wouldn't be mine. Only because I think for 70 grand,
start looking at the competitors, don't you?
Yeah, if there's other things, I think I'd be looking out for 70 grand.
Yeah, absolutely. But anyway, so that's just in a nutshell, kind of what we think of the 500 RS.